easily. If you carry a wheelchair in your car to take care of a loved one, you know how hard it is getting that clunky, old-style wheelchair in and out of your car. Introducing the Feather Chair Wheelchair. At 13 pounds, it's the world's lightest wheelchair. It folds in seconds and fits neatly in your trunk, backseat, or closet, so you can take it everywhere. And it's only available right here. Order yours today and get a free wheelchair case, a $50 value, yours free. The Feather Chair. The world's lightest wheelchair is just $4.99 with easy payments as low as $16 a month. Sorry, no Medicare or insurance accepted. So call right now to order yours.
800-823-5826. 800-823-5826. 800-823-5826. That's 800-823-5826.
If you are trying to quit drinking or doing too many drugs, listen to me. You don't know me and we'll never meet. I had a problem like you once. I drank and used to party a little too much till it got out of control and almost ruined my life. I realized I needed help to fix my problem before it totally destroyed me. If you've tried to fix your drinking and drug problem and you know you can't do it alone, you need to call the National Treatment Advisors. They'll immerse you into a 30-day program to replace your old habits with new habits and totally change your life. And if you have PPO private health insurance, the entire program may be covered. Fix your problem right now before it gets any worse. Get clean. Call now and learn more. 877-247-1581. 877-247-1581. 877-247-1581.
Attention all business owners and creative minds. Do you need a unique and personalized touch for your products? Look no further than Romika Laser Engraving and Custom Designs. I'm Ron Phillips, co-owner of Romika Designs. We offer custom laser engraving services for a variety of products, including promotional items and corporate or personal gifts. With state-of-the-art equipment and a team of skilled designers, we can engrave intricate designs on virtually any material. Whether it's a special message, a company logo, or a custom design, Romika Laser Engraving will help you make your mark. And the best part, our prices are affordable and our turnaround time is quick.
I couldn't be happier with the work Romika Laser Engraving did for me. The engraving on my product was precise and exactly what I wanted.
So don't wait any longer to add a personal touch to your products. Call Romika Laser Engraving and Custom Designs today at 817-400-4040 or visit our website at romikadesigns.com. We look forward to helping you make your mark.
Hey travelers, do you want to save money on your next flight? Then pick up the phone and call. That's right, call, because the best prices are not online. They're with SmartFares. See, SmartFares has special deals with the airlines. When they have unsold seats, they use SmartFares to fill them. So you get airline tickets at ridiculously low prices. Our prices are too low to publish online. With the extra money you'll save, you can book another trip or treat yourself to dinner or shopping. So stop searching all of those travel sites to find the lowest price on your next flight. Let one of our SmartFares expert travel agents find ridiculously low prices for you. Call SmartFares today and get the best price on your next flight. Guaranteed. Also, save up to 50% off business and first class tickets.
855-325-1820. 855-325-1820. That's 855-325-1820.
Welcome to Crime Time with Brittani and Renee on MTX Radio. Into the world of unsolved true crime cases. Join us as we seek to uncover hidden truths, bring light to darkness, and seek justice for those forgotten.
Welcome, everybody.
Hey, guys.
Crime Time with singing Brittani and Renee.
Yes. Did everybody miss me? I missed you guys. Like,
we did.
Legitimately.
Even though I see you ever so often.
Well, they haven't seen me in a while.
This is true. This is true.
And I'm
very,
here.
very true.
Oh my gosh, I miss this so much. I'll be back every Tuesday, guys. Don't worry. You'll get sick of me quick.
So tonight, welcome to tonight's live. Well, a few of you will help answer questions in the chat. Britt and I will be taking live calls and diving deeper into the unsolved case of Renae Freer. She was murdered on June 22nd, 1977, behind her house in Monroe, Connecticut, and in the woods. It was such a horrible case, and unbelievable that it's about to be 48 years unsolved. I mean,
it's crazy. June
un-
22nd.
unbelievable.
Yeah.
So we do have some guests tonight. We're joined tonight by a few anonymous guests who have the insight into Renae Freer's case. They'll be helping us answer questions from callers, and we wanted to thank y'all for being here and for being willing to speak up.
Yeah, and just remember, guys, just a quick disclaimer, this podcast is for entertainment purposes only. We do not claim to be professionals, nor do we know, are we making any actual, factual information. Everything that we say is alleged, and at the end of the day, true crime is not funny, but sometimes we do make jokes to lighten the situation. And yeah.
Absolutely.
Yes.
So thank y'all so much for being here.
Oh, you're quite welcome.
Hi, caller.
Thank you
for calling in.
All right, let's see. So we had some people calling in a little bit before 7, so we will wait for them to call in. We're waiting on some calls to come in, but we're glad y'all are here. Renae's case is such a disheartening case. I mean, an 8-year-old child gets murdered. It's just so hard to believe.
Yeah, absolutely sad.
I mean, just
and it's good, but the only thing I will say is that it's not a cold case, and
that's true. That's what we hear.
Kind of unheard of.
Yeah,
So,
that's what we hear. We hear it's not a cold case. They are working on it, which is good news. It just makes you wonder, how can something go unsolved for this long? You know?
Yeah.
Like, what is it going to take?
Take someone
for this crime to be solved.
Yeah. Take someone.
Now, do we have 2 guests here with us or 3?
I'm one. If that helps, I'm one.
I'll be two. I'll be two.
Okay. All right. So we have a couple. Okay. Well, awesome. That's good. So we'll just wait for them to call back. We had a couple people call in a little bit early, so we'll wait for them to call back. But do we have anybody? So first of all, who all is here with us tonight watching? Let us know where you're watching from live. We like to know where our people are watching from. And of course, we're going to keep discussing this case. Just keep going. We've been doing like a little series here where we're talking about it, having people call in and talk about their connections to the case and how they've it's been going all these years, where we've been learning about people that went through everything as a child, growing up and learning all about it. So thank y'all so much for being here. I see several people here with us tonight.
Hi,
Elena, George, Pat,
thank you guys
Elena,
for tuning
Gary,
in.
Beth. Oh, y'all are amazing. Thank y'all for being here.
Yes.
We appreciate you supporting us and supporting this this quest.
Yeah. This unsolved true crime case. We appreciate all your time.
Gary, Texas.
Of course.
Yeah. It's really cool how we have so many people from Texas.
I like everybody sound off in the comments what state you guys are from. So interesting to see where everybody is tuning in from.
Yeah. And if you haven't shared this live, please do so. It really helps to get this live out there really far and wide. And we want as many people to see this and to share it and to be able to learn about this case and help us to keep it going.
Yeah. I mean, the most important thing is sharing our live, like you said.
Yeah.
So that way we can keep building momentum on this case. We don't want this to go in the dark. Obviously, it's not a cold case. And we're going to keep spreading awareness about this until it's solved.
Yes.
That's the whole reason we're here.
Yes, absolutely.
Howdy. Hi, guys.
So
nothing like a Texas greeting. Howdy.
Right? Absolutely, Texas. Hey, Leanne.
Love it.
Okay, so last week we had a little mishap last week, but the week before that, we were talking about people that were connected to this case, the things that they grew up hearing, the stories, and the uncertainty of what had happened to this 8-year-old child, which, it's just heartbreaking to think about something like this happening.
Yeah.
And in such a small town, a safe community,
Yeah.
It's just it's just sad.
And for everybody that's tuning in, just so you guys know, we're talking about the unsolved murder of Renee Freer. She was an 8-year-old kid who was unfortunately murdered
With a rock.
With a rock. Yeah. And it was the day before summer break. So sad.
Yes, the day before the last day of school.
Yeah.
They had one more day of school left.
They found her dead, 100 feet from her home.
Well, that changes a lot. Depends on who you ask. Maybe somebody that is here, one of our guests, can tell us.
Yeah.
I've heard 100, I've heard 200, I've heard 300. Do we know?
Do you want to take that one? I could take that one. It's been reported differently in newspaper articles. I've seen up to 300 yards behind her house, and then we've also seen 300 feet. Knowing that area, 300 yards is very far for her to have been that far back. So I believe that was probably an error, and it's probably more like between 200 and 300 feet behind her home.
That makes sense. Okay.
Yeah.
Mhm.
Okay, so yards would be like football fields and stuff, right?
Correct. Yeah, really far.
Okay. That makes sense. Yeah.
Mhm.
Okay. Well, yeah, that's just one of the things that, and I guess I don't know where the different reporters get the information from, but I've seen it done several different ways. So that was a good question, Brittany. What other questions do we have? So somebody in the comments that is joining us here listening live, give us your questions. We need some questions. We have some people here that, oh, wait a minute. We do have a call
Our
coming
first
in.
caller.
All right. So we're going to take this next call. Hello. Thank you for calling. All right. That didn't work. We'll see if we can get the next one. Okay.
Yeah. Gary said, but you guys said she was moved. I think there was speculation that she was moved, Gary. Could someone kind of elaborate on that? Was Renee Freer moved?
Do you want to take that one? Number 2?
Yeah. Yeah, I had heard that she was moved. It was thought in an effort to maybe hide her or in a panic, but I don't know how far. I from what I gathered or from what I have heard, that it wasn't very far, but that there was some evidence that her body was dragged some distance, but not very far.
Okay.
No, they did a great job of hiding her.
Yeah.
I believe also that there was blood found in 2 different areas.
Oh, that makes sense. So that also gives a clue that she was moved. Okay,
Yeah.
gotcha.
Correct.
And the rock wasn't found next to her body. It was found away from her body.
That is what's been told to us, yes.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right. Okay. Okay. So, and then Gary also asked, was there no fence around the backyard?
No, there was not.
No fence. No fence, Gary.
No offense, Gary.
All
All good questions.
Yeah, Elena. Okay, so anybody else have questions? We have some guests here that are people that lived in the area, that were familiar with when it happened back then, and they can answer questions that you may have. So you're welcome to ask them in the comments, or you can give us a call on the call-in line, and we can take those calls. And is there anybody else that has any questions for our guest today?
Yeah. Someone said it's truly heartbreaking. Why would someone move her body? I don't know. Why would anybody do this at all? Is truly the question. But I think it was probably you can only think that they were trying to hide something or like mess up the scene. Who knows?
All right. I think we have a call, and I hope I can get this to work. I don't know. Okay, y'all, hang on.
You gotta slide it up.
Hi, thank you for calling
Someone
in.
said it's truly heartbreaking. Why would someone?
Hi, I have a question.
Okay.
Why would anybody do?
I would like to know what kind of DNA, if there is any, and what's going on, if there was DNA when they first found the body, and why it's been 47 years. Like, what's the story? Like, what's the delay? What's going on with that?
Okay. That's a good question.
Mhm.
Yeah.
You know, there was, I mean, they obviously had done an autopsy when this first happened. It was not a forensic autopsy, unfortunately. It was a hospital autopsy. There were three deaths that three murders that evening in Connecticut, in all of Connecticut, and so that was one thing we have learned. Additionally, back 47, 48 years ago now, we didn't have the technology that we have now. Renee's body was exhumed. This happened in 1977. It was exhumed in 1999. At that point, they did collect evidence from under her nails, I believe, among other things. And that was submitted also to be examined. Really, we have no information from that. When this new regime has now taken over, regime as in the detectives and looking at the entire case, reading through everything, I know they submitted again in 2020, and since that point, we've yet to hear what the results are from the DNA. It's still being tested, examined. I don't understand what takes so long, but from what I understand from other people, we've done research that it does take a long time. So I don't. Do you have anything else to add to that? Any other answer?
Yeah, I completely agree with what you said. You know, that whatever was under her fingernails, whether it was skin, blood, or hair, but whatever it was not. There was no technology. It wasn't tested. I don't even know if it was collected. I'm not sure if that's the case. It could have been collected, but they just didn't have the technology. It makes you think that it was not if they exhumed her body and then collected it. But I don't know. The question is why, if it was 2020, it was sent to the FBI lab. Why is it taking so long? That we don't know, or I don't know. I know they are backed up, but being that this was a child and a murder so long ago, one would hope that it would be pushed a little up to the front of the line. But those are just things I don't have the answer to.
I agree with you. You know what's crazy is that I don't understand the whole hospital autopsy. To me, it looks like they could have just did it the next day. Like, I'm not understanding why I don't know. I don't know the ins and outs of all that, obviously, but it just feels like they could have did it the next day to make sure they got a thorough autopsy done. But
Yeah.
what do
Isn't
I
that
know?
how it always happens though? There's always a botched
Always
situation in
something.
cases, and that's why it takes so long, because someone made a mistake along the way.
Right.
But for them to do something in 2020 as not hear back in 5 years is kind of, startling.
Yeah.
It's very,
It really is.
very interesting.
Thank y'all for answering the questions. We really appreciate y'all being here.
Absolutely.
Okay,
Oh,
go ahead.
No, I'm just laughing in the comments. People are saying, how could you live with this for so long?
I know.
Yeah, honestly.
I don't know how people would
If
go
you're out there
on.
listening and you were the one that did this, like, how are you sleeping at night? Hopefully you're sleeping on a bed of rocks every night.
And you're having nightmares 24/7, because I can't imagine anything else. I mean,
hopefully the ghost of Renee Freer is haunting you. Wouldn't be very fun, I would think. Have you seen The Shining? Ghost kids are terrifying.
yeah. George Lineberger said, I have heard many reports calling Bonnie her best friend. Wouldn't a best friend be trying to help solve this? Have you spoken to her? Can anybody elaborate on that?
I gave. No.
I have not spoken to her. I know that Bonnie did live in the neighborhood and lived close to Renee, next door to Renee. And she did in the beginning when we first everyone started to look at this case again after so many years. Everybody was from the area kind of talking on the Facebook page and commenting. And I know Bonnie was commenting as well, and since then has stopped. So I don't know. I'm not friends with her as an adult, so I'm not sure.
Okay. We do have
Yeah.
another
Very
call in
interesting.
for a question if y'all are ready.
Hi, caller. Thanks for calling in.
Right, I have a question. I heard that there was a family that moved away right after the murder. Can anybody confirm that rumor?
That's a good question.
Okay.
Yep.
You want to take that?
I don't know. You might have the dates better, number one there. But I did hear that her next door neighbor did move shortly after, but I don't know how many months or if it was within a year or a few months afterward. You might know better.
Yes, it was about 6 months after. It was
Yeah.
January of
Yep.
1978.
Interesting.
Wow. That's interesting.
Wonder why.
It always seems like these stories always end in somebody moving away.
Yeah.
Very
Isn't that so
interesting.
true?
My other case is the same way. Somebody
Yeah.
moved away.
You can move away, but you can't escape murder.
Not if
so.
you're a suspect. Okay, so
Someone in the comments says, "Was it Bonnie?"
You know what's
Hmm.
crazy is before I met you ladies, I actually messaged her because I tried to ask in a group. I tried to ask a question in a group because I wanted to get something confirmed. I wanted to get a story confirmed or get it straight basically. And so I tried to ask and that didn't work. So I sent her a message and she instantly blocked me.
It's very
Oh.
telling.
I was just trying to get the story straight basically.
Gary asked, who was the last person to see her besides the killer, and when in the timeline of the murder was that?
Yeah, y'all could answer that one for us.
Sure. The story as we know it was that she was outside after dinner. Renee was going to deliver strawberries to another neighbor. That did indeed happen. And then it was said that she had gone, and actually Bonnie is the one that said this, that she had gone to play with Bonnie, who lived next door, and knocked on the door, and Bonnie was having dinner and said, I can't come out right now. So the last time she was probably seen by Bonnie or Bonnie's stepmom, that she and then waited outside for her to come out after dinner, which did not happen.
Mm.
Was that about 6 p.m.?
That was about 6 p.m. Yes. Mm-hmm.
Wow.
Okay.
Renee's body was not found until, people started looking probably about 7:30, 7:45.
Mhm.
And then she was not found until 10 p.m. And that was by the police.
Wow.
Wow. And that was actually my exact question for her. Was Bonnie at home when Renee went and having dinner and couldn't play yet? Or was she already out playing and Renee missed her and had to go out and find her to go play with her? That was actually my question. And it never got answered, but.
Yeah. And I don't know. I mean, obviously it would just be her friend that would be able to answer that question. And it'd be great if she would answer that for us.
Yeah, and that was exactly why I thought it would be great to go to the source, just ask her, and she blocked me instantly. So I was really confused when I first started researching this case because of all the doors that were shut in my face. I was like, okay, guess I won't learn that one. But anyway, yeah, thank you for asking these great questions. Does anybody else have any questions? Let's see. Let's see. Did we miss any?
And thank you for taking the time to answer these questions. We really appreciate your time.
Absolutely.
1 and 2 calling in.
Oh, no problem. No problem.
So we do have another call coming in. Hang on just a
Okay.
second. Thank you for calling in. What is your question?
Hi. Were people ever suspicious of kids in the neighborhood after this whole thing happened? Like, was anyone acting differently after it?
Okay.
That's a great question.
Great question.
No, number 2, do you want to answer that or you want me to?
Yeah, we were more afraid just of the situation and what we knew took place. Being that it was that long ago, I can't say for sure. I honestly don't know if somebody acted out of the ordinary or suspicious during that time or just shortly after. So I don't remember that. I just remember my closer friends being really hypervigilant and afraid to go out the days following. And we slowly made our way out, but didn't go too far from home. So we worked our way, into trying to be as, normal a neighborhood as possible. But to answer that question, I'm really not sure. I don't remember that.
Right. Okay.
I would concur with that. I agree.
Okay.
Mhm.
Okay. Gary says a girl would not use a rock to kill another girl. Wouldn't be strong enough either. Takes a lot of force to smash a head with a rock. That's an interesting point.
Yeah.
Thank you, Gary. Pat says when Renee's body, I guess she meant to say was found, where was the family?
I know that number 2 could answer that better than me.
Okay.
I mean, whose family were we referring to?
I'm assuming that they're referring to Renee's family.
Right. That's what I was thinking.
Okay. Well, I know her, reports were that her mom, when she was found, I apologize. She was out and about the neighborhood where it started to focus on one area. I was personally out in the street, which was about 3 houses up the street from Renee's, on the same side of the street. And I don't know if her grandparents were out there, but I know her mom was outside. Being that she had a little brother about age 4, one of the grandparents at least must have remained home with the 4-year-old, I would think, if not both. But the mother was out, and she was in the front yard of a house where Renee's body was found, in the woods from this house, because that's where it was focused on. And then word came out that she was found, and her mother started to try to go toward the wooded area and was held back.
Oh, that's so horrible. That's heartbreaking.
And yeah, it was bad.
Wow. Okay, we have about 2 minutes and 40 seconds before our break. Let's see if we have any questions in the comments, and then we will start taking calls again when we get back. Let's see.
Yeah, Elena asked, were there any kids that were isolating themselves?
Oh, good question, Elena.
Number 1.
Thanks. It was a big group of kids on our street at the time, and there were probably some that were more loners than others, not quite as involved within the group, I would say. But that was prior to the murder as well, not prior to the murder as well as after. That was just that personality of that person.
Right. Okay.
Yeah, I would agree.
Yeah. Thank y'all for answering these questions. Let's see if we have any others before we take our break. Beth says, I disagree. A strong 12-year-old can hurt a small 8-year-old with a rock. That's a good point because they're older and bigger.
Yeah.
So I agree with that. And some 12-year-olds are the same height, weight, whatever of an adult. So, I don't know this person, but you never know. I agree.
Renee was I would say a small 8-year-old. I mean, she was slight. She was not a strong kid.
Yeah.
Hey, Crystal, thank you for joining us. Yeah, I agree with that. People are all different sizes and, of course, but she, like you said, she was small and then the 12-year-old could have been bigger. You never know. So I remember some kids when I was younger and I remember thinking that I was scared of them because they were so much bigger than me. You know what I mean? You know how it is when you're a kid.
It's true. It's true.
Yeah.
Yeah, it is true. Yeah.
All right. Well, we have about 30 seconds left. So what we're going to do, we're going to take a 4-minute break. When we
Okay.
come back, we're going to take some more calls. So y'all just hang tight with us. We're going to take some more calls. We did miss a couple of calls. So if y'all called in and we didn't answer, call back about 7:34 and we will take your calls. We look forward to talking about this case when we get back, and we'll see you shortly.
Great.
Have you ever met a single person in your life that enjoys paying taxes? No, no one does. If you can't sleep at night because you have a huge problem with the IRS, I've got some free advice for you. This service is strictly limited to individuals that owe the IRS $10,000 or more in back taxes. And if you qualify, we can guarantee that you won't be writing a big fat check to the IRS, or our services cost you nothing. The first 100 people that call today will get a free tax consultation worth $500. Stop worrying about your IRS problem. We can help you, we promise. Call the tax doctor right now. I mean right now to learn more.
800-240-4587. 800-240-4587. 800-240-4587. That's 800-240-4587.
Why have thousands of aspiring authors teamed up with Christian Faith Publishing to publish their book? Because Christian Faith Publishing is an author-friendly publisher who understands that your labor is more than just a book. We provide authors freedom and flexibility throughout the publishing process, professional book editing, award-winning design, and some of the highest royalty structures in the publishing industry. And as always, you will retain 100% of the rights to your book.
I was looking to find a company that I could trust, one that assisted in the editing process completely.
The most important qualities that I was looking for was a publisher who was honest and upfront, no hidden costs or fees, and owning the rights to my own work.
Christian Faith Publishing will publish, market, and sell your books in all major bookstores, online booksellers, as well as specialty Christian bookstores. Call for your free author submission kit.
800-978-4812. 800-978-4812. 800-978-4812. That's 800-978-4812.
Welcome back, y'all.
Hey, welcome back.
Thank y'all all for being here. Thank you for everyone who's listening. We appreciate each and every one of you. And again, we're talking about the Renee Freer case, an 8-year-old girl who was brutally murdered June 22nd of 1977 in Monroe, Connecticut, just feet away from the back of her home where she lived in the woods. And today we have a few guests here with us who are answering questions. And then we're taking live callers to ask those questions that they've been wanting answers to from people who were there and people who knew Renee and lived in the neighborhood and was friends with her back in 1977. So if you are wanting to call in, or if you've tried to call in and we've missed you, please go ahead and try again now. Thank y'all for being here and sharing this live and letting us know where you're here from, watching from, and then you can also ask your questions in the comments.
Yep. Remember to drop an L if you're watching live, or if you're going to be watching it on the replay, drop an R in the comments.
One of the best ways to get cases out there that are unsolved is by doing podcasts and by talking about it consistently. So we have a lot of episodes that we have coming up. So we're going to be going over those at the end of the show. Now we have another call coming in to ask questions of our guest today. Hi, thank you for calling. What is your question for our guest today?
Hey, it's been said that it was a juvenile, but do people really think that a juvenile would be able to move an 8-year-old's body by themselves? Like, would they have to have some sort of help to move her?
That's a good question. Who wants to answer that?
I'll answer that one, or I'll start off. Well, don't forget you have an 8-year-old, a small 8-year-old girl, and the juvenile, could have been someone that was a teenager. If you have especially a male, would not be difficult at all to move someone. I don't know if I had to guess how much she weighed. It's not very much, because she was small. She was just a small individual. So to answer that question, my belief would be it would not be hard at all to do that for a juvenile.
Thank you for answering. We have a lot more people that have joined us here. Thank y'all for coming. We do have another caller. Give me just a second.
Individual.
Hi, thank you for calling in, and we want to answer your questions about the Renee Fur case.
It would not be hard at all to do that for the recording.
Hi, I heard a confession years ago. Is that true?
Can you repeat your question?
Here. Thank y'all for coming.
I heard there was a confession years ago. Is that true?
Oh, that's a good question. Let's see if one of y'all can answer that for us.
I have heard that there was a confession.
It's not working now. All right.
And that was at a sleepover party, back not long after that, maybe 5-6 months after the murder. I understand that there is going to be a podcast coming up about that. That person is going to speak to that.
That's going to be riveting.
Yeah, that's crazy. I can't wait to do that one.
So I don't.
Just to add to that, I would think if that confession was many years ago, I believe that if there was any credibility to that the police would still not be looking for who did this if they believed that was credible. So I'm not so sure about that, but it should be interesting to hear from the people who were there.
Right.
Yeah, absolutely. Elena asked, whose party was it?
I do not know the person's name. I know that it was on the street, though.
It was on Monroe Street.
On Williams. Road.
Williams. I'm sorry. I don't want to Monroe. Yeah. Oh, wow.
It's okay.
Wow, we have a long question there. Can you scroll up on that one, Brittany?
Oh my goodness. Who's gonna read this? Don't know how severe damage in Renee's head was, but I know for a fact that when I was a kid, I came across a poor bird.
Hang on, we got to take this call.
God, I wish we had voice to text right now.
Let me help you.
I still have one contact in, guys. I'm so
Hi,
sorry.
thank you for calling. And do you have a question today for our guest?
Read in the newspaper that Bonnie was allowed to go into the woods the next day to help. I don't know what she was helping with, but I read that she was in the woods. Would she be allowed to go in the woods and help?
Oh my gosh, that's crazy. Okay, so who wants to take this one?
That was actually in a newspaper article I saw as well. Number 2, could you add to anything with that?
Yeah, I wasn't aware of that until I read that myself, but it wouldn't be uncommon for for her to do that if the police were with her at all times. I'm sure they wouldn't let her tramps around the actual scene or the immediate area. She could have been a distance back, showing them something else in the woods or pointing from a distance, a safe distance. But if she was with police officers, I could absolutely see that being true and happening and maybe helping.
That's very interesting.
Yeah. Someone asked, was the confession of an adult or a child?
Oh, good question.
Yeah, that's a good question.
It was a child.
Oh, well,
Okay.
they're an adult now.
But again, like as in the other researcher said as well, we just don't know what the credibility of something like that was. If that's going back so many years, I'm not sure.
Yeah.
But and we just don't know. So it'll be interesting to hear more about that.
Yeah, absolutely.
Mhm.
Beth says, I heard the confession plays a part because it has some of the players still involved. Oh, okay. The plot thickens.
Yeah, absolutely. Elena asked, was the crime scene secured?
I understand it
That-
was not that evening.
Mm.
They were there till late and then left and came back in the morning. But I don't
What?
know that for sure. Again, it was 1977, and it was deep in the woods.
You know, I'm very respectful of and I do Back to Blue, but I often hear these stories, and you would think that would be like
I don't.
Investigations 101.
Yeah.
I mean, the crime scene tape. I mean, I understand that they can't stand out there and block it all night, but looks like you would have to complete your investigation before you leave, you know?
Yeah. Well,
That's just my
hindsight's
thoughts.
2020. Everybody makes mistakes. But yeah, I mean, that could be, a situation that caused this case to not be solved sooner.
Very.
There were a lot of people looking for Renee that evening. A lot of people going through, and I guess the woods are pretty thick, but there's lots of leaves and branches and sticks, and so I don't think it probably was a very easy crime scene.
Yeah,
For our
I will
police
agree with that.
officers.
Yeah, I will agree with that. It's probably more complex than most.
I would think. Could you add to that at all, researcher number 2?
Yeah, I agree. People were walking around, but once she was found, that's when it should be secured until they're finished with what they're doing. And even if there's a question that you're not finished, it should have been remained secured by someone staying in the area. I mean, you can't. It just depends. They probably felt that they were done and got what they needed, and there was no need to stay there. I would think, but I'm not. That would be a question for the police department, or
sure
if they know that.
And that's a good point, George. He said things like this didn't happen in Monroe. They probably didn't know how to handle it. And that's usually what happens in small towns.
That's true.
They don't know how to handle cases like this.
Right. Okay, we have another caller calling in with another question. Thank you for calling in. What's your question?
Hi. Why is this not considered a cold case in a FOIA filed? We're not able to access any of that information. I saw that on the Facebook pages because I'm new to this. I just joined from another part of the country and I'm reading all this stuff and I'm seeing that you can't access any information because it's considered an active case. And after all this time, why is that?
That's a good question.
Yeah,
who wants to take this one?
We could both probably add to this. Go ahead. I don't want to jump in front of you.
Yeah, no, I was going to say murder cases are never closed. They remain open always. The difference here is that it's a cold case, and at the time, if you want to just say the time that it's been taken, it's been 48 years almost. But we mentioned earlier that there's some forensic evidence that still needs to be tested. So that makes it very active still, even though it's been this long. That was submitted in 2020. So it's always an open case. It's never closed until it's solved. But being that there's some evidence that still is in the process or in the near future, hopefully to be examined, it is active.
I had asked that question also of some of the detectives, and they say that they do still get periodically especially now, but even prior to all the attention being back on this case in the past year, they followed up on everything that would come in to their police station. Any types of somebody had something they wanted to share, and they would follow up on it. And they did get some leads that way as well. But since this has been brought back on the forefront and there's been so much attention, I believe they're getting more and more people calling in, which is fabulous and hopeful for Renee's family and friends.
Absolutely.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, that's how you keep a case alive, obviously. And there are people that want this solved.
Yeah, it's not something that people forget. Yes, it's been 48 years, which is insane to even think that long. But this little girl didn't have her life. It was taken from her, and who knows what she would have grown up to be and who she would have been and what contributions to this world she would have made. She never had those opportunities. Her mom died a young death, never knowing it's affected her friendships of, childhood friendships. Her younger brother, who was 4 years old, I mean, everybody had to move on with their lives for the past 48 years, and there's been really no closure for any of them. And that's just criminal in itself. It's just horrific to think of. And so I'm so encouraged that so many people have been talking up and sharing their stories. And, perhaps nobody has proof, but that there might be somebody that knows something, and hopefully these detectives will pull all of this together and we can close this case, because that's what needs to happen. For Renee.
Absolutely. Yeah, absolutely. That this is 48 years is just way too long. I mean, I understand things happen, but my gosh, these need to be at the top of the list. I mean, an 8-year-old child lost her life, and we've got to get this one solved and get justice for Renee. That doesn't make any sense to do anything else.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, absolutely.
All right, have we covered all the questions here? Let's see.
I feel like there's
And
people
we did
that
miss
are
a
getting
caller too, so if you called in and you weren't able to get through, please call again because we have an open line now while we're reading these questions.
Yeah.
Let's see.
Someone asked, was a police dog not used?
Yeah, they were.
in the
Somebody
case?
commented, answered that the bloodhounds were brought in the next day.
Oh, good.
Yeah.
Perfect.
Let's see. A lot of things happened that were wrong. Yeah, that's true. Sounds like it, unfortunately.
Oh, yeah. Killer's DNA is on the rock. Please tell me they've had it tested.
They said they couldn't test the rock.
Yeah.
I read that in several different articles, and do y'all know exactly why it was just like too hard to test for DNA on the surface of the rock, or do y'all know?
I do not know the answer to that. Do you?
Okay.
Do you?
No, I don't know that either. I know it's, unless there was blood visible to scrape off, if there was just skin cells. I know we've come a long way. Again, we mentioned this earlier with technology. Just touching something, there's something, leaving skin cells. But being that so much time had passed, I don't know. And it is difficult if you have a rock with the surface to get skin. It's very difficult. It's not like, most people see in the movies where they always get something off every item touched. It doesn't work that way. But so I don't know that for a fact whether they were able to test anything or not. But that's what my belief would be.
We had a guest on our other podcast for the other case that we cover, and there was a lady, her name is Francine Bardol, and she created what's called the Bardol method, where it basically is able to separate if you have more than one DNA sample on something that you're trying to recover, they could actually separate it, which is amazing. And then they can test each one separately. But she also said she was very experienced or had what am I trying to say here? I'm losing my words, but she was able to successfully get DNA off of just about any surface. I wonder if that's something she could do. Get
I don't
that
know.
DNA off there. I mean, I don't know
Maybe.
after that many years if it's still viable, but I mean, hey, anything's worth a try.
Yeah, Gary says DNA takes a really long time.
Well, that's good news. Good news,
Mhm.
because if that's the case, I need to reach out to her. Wonderful lady. I need to reach out to her and
Mhm.
say, hey, can you get the DNA off this rock? Well, I mean,
Mhm.
yeah, okay. I think we should try that.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah, I wasn't on that
I
show.
I don't know if that rock, maybe that rock is there. I see that Gary is, I don't know if that's something that was resubmitted back in 2020, perhaps. That would be wonderful if that's the case. If it lasts that long and we can get something off of that now,
Right.
it'd be fabulous.
Yeah, she said she could. I'll have to go back and listen, but she said she could get DNA just off about any kind of surface. So I'm assuming a rock would be included, hopefully, but I could ask her.
I mean, I understand why you wouldn't be able to get prints off of it. That I get, but
Yeah, that's true. Okay, so let's see. Any other questions that we have for these wonderful ladies that are taking the time out of their day to answer these questions? Oh, wait, we have a caller. Hang on. Thank you for calling in. What is your question?
I just want opinions here. Why is this taking so long to solve? Just opinions of everyone.
Okay.
Do you want to start, or you want me to start?
You can go ahead.
It's hard when we're not in the same room.
Right. Right.
Everybody's reflective. I think they're probably it's been such a long time, and I think sometimes, unfortunately, it kind of gets shelved, and I don't think people really talked about it for. I mean, they did obviously right away, right after the murder, but then it kind of just went away, unfortunately, and people moved away, and people grew up, and I think that's part of it. I think there are people that have. I mean, the kids that were kids during that time, and there has been, a lot of, actually the police department did come out and say they felt as though it was a juvenile known to Renee. And if that is the case, it's sad, because so many people, not that they forgot about it, but they've moved away, and these kids that were kids at that time are now in their 60s, some are in their 70s. Their parents that were young parents at the time are now deceased. I think that there were a lot of rumors, and people and police started to go down, and others started to go down different rabbit holes, and started to focus on other things that may not have been, taking them all over. So I think for all of those reasons, that's part of it. Fortunately, there's been more attention now in this past year now with the podcasts, which I think are amazing and wonderful. It's bringing more awareness to Renee's case. The end of the month, there's going to be, if anyone is in the Connecticut area, there's going to be a vigil for Renee on June 26th at 7 p.m. in Monroe. It's on the website, on the Facebook pages. Just to continue to bring that awareness and strive to get justice for her. But I think there were so many rumors. People focused on other people that probably, that were cleared. And yet I think that was unfortunate. There's been so many different theories.
Right.
I don't know. Do you want to add to that? Number two?
Yeah, I mean, if you get, I think a big part too is, we mentioned the lack of the technology we have today. We have so much, our police officers have so much available to them as far as that goes. Back then, really all you had were interviews of people, and if you had people not telling the truth and, covering for other people, it makes it just so much more difficult to prove. I mean, it's just, it's just very difficult. So I think that was a big factor. You had some people just not cooperating from the area during interviews, and just other people people making up stories or not being truthful to the police department, to the police officers. Her trying to solve this case, or at least be heading in the right direction, or knowing they are, and it just isn't. It wasn't anything that was just jumped out that they could definitely say, okay, we have this now, and let's move to the next step. And they just needed that one thing, at least one thing, to be able to do that, and they just didn't have that back then. As far as for the last 48 years, I mean, they've made some strides, and in going in the right direction, I believe, and hopefully this evidence up at the FBI lab will be tested and get some answers. That would be the best thing. I'm still real hopeful for that.
And I think as well, I think it's not for lack of trying. I think, throughout these years, I think they have followed up on so many things. They've even brought in psychics. They've brought in, I don't know if some of your, not that you could use this as evidence, but, the Warrens were big ghost chasers in Monroe, actually, but in Connecticut, people would be aware of that name, and they even brought them in. I mean, they did everything that they could at the time. They talked to all the kids in the neighborhood and others, and so I think now with technology the way it is, hopefully they can get that last bit, that evidence, because I think that they're almost there. There are lots of suspicions and lots of circumstantial things, though.
Yeah.
No, they need that last piece.
Yeah, I totally understand that. And I know somebody out there knows, somebody has, like the rumor of a confession. Somebody has heard this confession. We have about 3 minutes left. So I want to make sure I say this. And if anybody has any last minute questions, please comment them. We do have 2 groups. There is a group called Who Killed Renee Freer? And you can put your questions there. You can, go in there and chat about the case. There's another one, Justice for Renee Freer. Same thing. You can ask your questions, discuss the case. And we do have a couple of episodes coming up where we are going to have someone on whose relative worked on the case back in 1977. That's going to be amazing.
Yeah,
to hear first, secondhand how this case was handled, things that happened, maybe some discussion about interviews, things like that. One of the ways that you can help is you can join our groups. You can share our pictures that have information about the case, where they can call in tips. All of these different things like this keep these cases alive. And we just thank y'all so much for coming on today, answering these questions, for being here, watching the live, sharing, commenting, all of it. It's all helpful.
Yeah, absolutely. And I have to just say what George said in the comments is so true. Knowing and providing are 2 totally different things. I believe the police know, they just don't have the proof.
Yeah.
And that's truly what I believe too. It's all about the evidence. And like you said, it couldn't be truer. Spreading this is only how you get the awareness out there, so that people have no choice but to get the ball rolling and get this case solved.
Just a little over a minute. Would you like to say anything else before we go?
Just to keep the awareness going, just to reiterate what you had said, join our Justice for Renee Freer Facebook page, join the Who Killed Renee Freer. And then if you're in the Connecticut area, please join us and Renee's family for the vigil, which is on the 26th of June at 7 p.m. in Monroe. And all that information is on the website. And then in addition is these podcasts, because you've got some amazing ones coming up with people that are really connected to the case every Tuesday night. 8 p.m. Eastern time. Please keep joining.
Yeah, absolutely. Thank you I can't believe I forgot that. Yes, the vigil. Please join them for the vigil. Please join us every Tuesday at 7 p.m. Central, 8 p.m. Eastern, we're going to continue talking about this case and keep getting the information out there about Renee Freer. Thank y'all for joining us. We'll see y'all next Tuesday.
Have a good evening.
Have a good evening.
Next Tuesday. Bye.
Thank you.
Thank you guys.
Everyone. Thank you.
Cut off. Hang on one second.